Hey, this is section 3, day 2. We're going to talk a little bit about angle bisectors. And basically, what an angle bisector is just a line that divides an angle into two equal parts. Okay, so I apologize for my handwriting. An angle bisector is a line that divides an angle into two equal parts. Okay, so we're just going to jump right into these examples. They're going to take a little bit of patience, and there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you see the pattern, it shouldn't be too bad. You're going to have to be good at drawing pictures here. Okay, so the first one says, line JK bisects angle LJM, thus angle LJK is equivalent to KJM. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw angle LJM. Okay, so here's L, here's J, and here's M. Okay, and JK, it says bisects angle LJM, or it's a line that makes it cut into two equivalent pieces. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw that line. Okay, it bisects it. Okay, so this is line JK. And we know that angle LJK, or this, is equivalent to KJM, or this. Okay, so when it bisects, we know that both of these angles are exactly the same, okay, or the same measure. Okay, so that's what we need to know from what an angle bisector is. Okay, so it's going to give you some information in some of these problems, like example number 6. We need to take that information and solve for x. Okay? Alright, so the first one says KM bisects angle JKL. So let's go ahead and draw that picture out. Okay, so we have JKL, and we know that KM bisects it. Okay, and we know that measure angle JKM, or this segment, is going to be 4x plus 6. Okay, so this is 4x plus 6. And we know that measure angle MKL is 7x minus 2. Or 7x minus 12, excuse me. Alright. So we want to go ahead and find measure angle JKM. Alright, since we have JKM and we have MKL, and we know that since this is a bisector, making both of these equal, we're going to go ahead and set these two expressions equal to each other. So we're going to set 4x plus 6 equal to 7x minus 12. And then we're going to go ahead and solve. So we're going to get all the variables on one side and all the numbers on one side. So we're going to subtract 4x on both sides. So now we have 6 equals 3x minus 12. So we're going to add 12 now on both sides. So you have 18 equals 3x. And if you go ahead and divide each side by 3, that gives you x equals 3. Okay, but that doesn't give us our solution yet. Okay, since our x equals 3, we need to go ahead and plug that into JKM. And since we know JKM is 4x plus 6, we know that we can plug in 3 into x, which is 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 6, and that gives us 18. Okay, so we know that JKM gives us 18 degrees. Okay, not so bad. Alright, let's try another one. Okay, so this time it says QS bisects PQR. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw PQR. PQR. And we know that QS bisects it. Okay, we know that PQS is 5y minus 1. And we know that PQR is 8y plus 12. Oops, while I was doing that I noticed an error on the last one. Okay, 18 divided by 3 is going to be 6, so your x would equal 6. I apologize. And 4 times 6 gives you 24. And 24 plus 6 gives you 30. Okay, so that would be 30 degrees. I apologize. Okay, so let's go back to this one. We know that PQS, or this guy, is 5y minus 1, and we want to find the measure angle of PQS. Okay, well, since we know PQS and SQR are equivalent or congruent, we know that those two angles add together to be PQR, which is 8y plus 12. So we know that 5y minus 1 plus 5y minus 1 equals 8y plus 12. Okay, so 5y minus 1 plus 5y minus 1 equals 8y plus 12. So let's go ahead and solve this. So we have 5y and 5y. That gives us, let's zoom in here, that gives us 10y. And minus 1 gives us minus 2. And that equals 8y plus 12. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. We're going to subtract 8y on both sides. 10y minus 8y gives you 2y. So we have 2y minus 2 equals 12. So we're going to add 2 on both sides. That gives you 2y equals 14. And then divide each side by 2, and that gives you y as 7. Okay, so that's not our answer. We still have to plug in to PQS. And PQS, remember, that was 5y minus 1. Okay, so we're going to plug in 5y minus 1. So 5 times 7 minus 1. And that gives you 7 times 5, which is 35, minus 1, which is 34 degrees. Okay, so the value of PQS would be 34 degrees. Okay, so I would go through, look at those few examples if I were you. Okay, last one. It says measure angle WYZ is 2x minus 5. And measure angle XYW is 3x plus 10. Okay, and we want to find the value of x. Okay, well, if you remember our rules for straight lines, okay, we know that those things total 180 degrees. So we know that this angle plus this angle equals 180 degrees. So we're going to set up this equation. So we have, we have 3x plus 10 plus 2x minus 5, and all that is going to equal 180. Okay, so let's go ahead and put all this together. We have 3x and we have 2x, so that gives us 5x. Then we have 10 minus 5, which gives us 5. and that all equals 180. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract 5 on both sides. And then 5x equals 175. And then if we go ahead and divide each side by 5, your x would equal 35. Okay, so our x would equal 35, and that is your value. Okay, so these are kind of tricky, but once you learn the pattern, you learn all of your rules, and you remember how to solve equations, they shouldn't really be too bad. Okay, so work through these slowly if you need to. Pause each one. Take as much time as you need to work on these guys. Okay? Peace.